first, we'd like to talk a little bit about Hangout Network's other shows like The G Spot. And yeah, it's just like The View, but at night. A little bit racy, a little bit cool, a little bit, I don't know, might not be your taste, but I'm pretty sure it's most of your taste. We have cooking shows, teaching you how to do some cooking in all varieties. Started with cooking Caribbean, now we're doing cooking with Japanese food, Italian food, healthy cooking, Southern cooking shows. Look how good it is. See? Num num num. See? Delicious. Learning to cook Caribbean. Larry started it all. And then we have shows about technology like Android Enthusiasts. You can see this all on hangoutnetworks.com and Hangout Collab. Musicians get together, we jam, we act a fool, we make songs together. I think you would like it. Check it out. Hosted by Damien Benoit, me, the one talking. We try to make as much graphics fly around your face as possible. And if we don't, then we're going to make more next time. You get music, good music. So what's up? We got Russell Babbitt and we got me, Damien.
When I kick it out, well, nobody knows that I'm a bluegrass bandit. Yes, you can handle it.
Many more shows. We do training on how to do 3D, 2D, video, music, everything from concept to creations.com. Without further ado, though, now we'll start the show. Indie authors. Yeah. Today's episode, host Jason Matthews interviews Sonia Marsh. So hope you all enjoy the show. Sit back and relax. HangoutNetworks.com.
Thanks for that great introduction, Damien. I am Jason Matthews, and this is Indie Authors number 17. With Sonia Marsh, Gutsy Living, Gutsy Writer. Sonia, thank you for being with us tonight.
Well, thank you, Jason, for inviting me, and also I want to thank Hangout Networks for this wonderful show.
That's right, and you can see all those wonderful other shows that Damien mentioned at hangoutnetworks.com. I'm really excited to have Sonia with us tonight for the reason that Sonia is a great example of promoting her book before its publication date, using things like ARCs, advanced reader copies, to get endorsements on her book before it goes out. Sonia is a writer, a public speaker, a fitness trainer, a mom of 3 young men, and a world traveler. She's lived in England, Paris, Nigeria, Belize, and Southern California. Sonia, again, thanks so much for being here. We're going to talk a lot about your book. I just read this book. It's fantastic. It's called Freeways to Flip-Flops, A Family's Year of Gutsy Living on a Tropical Island. It's about uprooting your family from Southern California and moving to a third world country, Belize. But before we talk about all of that, I want to talk a little bit about Sonia. Sonia, you've got an interesting background. You've lived in Denmark, in Paris, in England, in Nigeria. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, well, I guess I was fortunate in that my parents are from different parts of the world, and I was born in Denmark, and they uprooted me to Nigeria when I was a baby and lived there till 6, and then we moved to Paris. So just my upbringing led me to live in different countries. So what specific thing did you want me to talk about here?
No, I just wanted to know, how did you end up coming to America for good, to move here?
Well, I had some cousins living here, and I had visited a couple of times, once when I was 9 and the second time when I was 18. And I swore that one day I would move to California, and so at the age of 25, after working in Paris for 3 years, I decided it was time to uproot and move to Southern California.
Okay. I'm going to share a few screens of Sonia's websites. This is Sonia's website. Can you see it on the screen now?
I can see it.
Okay, this is soniamarsh.com, or you could also get here by typing in gutsyliving.com. Sonia also has the same Twitter handle. It's Twitter @gutsyliving. She's got Facebook groups, both her Gutsy Writer Facebook page, and then for other authors or indie publishers, Sonia has Gutsy Indie Publishers as a Facebook group that anyone is free to join. How long have you had the Facebook group, Sonia?
You know, to be honest, I'm not sure of the exact date when I started it, but it wasn't that long ago, maybe 4 months, 3 months, 4 months, something like that. I don't know how. I just decided one day that we should merge indie authors together with experts and help one another. And so that was my goal, and it's grown, and I think we have 115 people, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us to connect and, as I mentioned, help.
Okay.
So that was the goal.
You moved to Belize in 2004 from Southern California.
Correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired that transition?
Well, it didn't happen overnight. It was a process, and my husband and I in 2003 decided that we wanted to get away from materialism in Orange County and take our children, our 3 sons, for various reasons, away from peer pressures, away from the entitlement attitude that young people seem to have here, especially in Orange County, and show them how other people live in a third world country. And we wanted a simple life, and we wanted to get away from electronics, from purchasing things, just live a simple life. And so that's what we decided to do. After a scouting trip in 2003 that lasted 10 days, we fell in love with Belize. We figured out where we wanted to move, and in 2004, after the school year was out, we just took the 3 boys, sold everything we owned, our house, our cars, and furniture, and moved in one day.
In one day. And your boys were aged 10 to 16 and very involved in the community that you were at in Southern California. How did they handle the move initially?
Well, I will be honest, each child is different, so their personalities, obviously, they took it in different ways. Our oldest son was one of the major reasons why we wanted to leave. He was in high school, and we were having some issues like most parents do with teenage boys, and we thought the best way was to take him out of that situation as a family unit and move to Belize. So he surprisingly adapted quite quickly compared to our other 2 boys, or my middle son, who had close relationships with his friends here in Orange County. And for him, it was a little more of an adjustment. And then our youngest son was 10, and his thing was, as long as I don't have to go to school, I'm fine. But he did have to go to school, but that was his thing. He thought we were pulling him out of school for life. So that was his happy moment.
So you went to Belize basically on a mission. It was to help your family reconnect, hopefully find a paradise within Belize, and mend some parts of the relationship that weren't working.
Right.
Did you know that you were going to write a book when you made this decision to move there?
I have to tell you that a couple of friends mentioned to me that I should write a journal while I was there, because they were writer friends, and they said, you know, Sonia, you have an opportunity here to write a book. And of course, it had occurred to me, but when I was encouraged by friends and started writing and emailing people, they kept saying, your stories are great. Just keep journaling, and you will turn it into a book. And I think they were right. I'm very grateful that I did that. And I also have to say that in Belize, you have a lot of free time, unlike here.
Okay.
So, yeah.
If you hadn't kept a journal, do you think you would have been able to have written this book?
No, absolutely not. I think that you need to keep a journal no matter what your adventure is, even if you're staying locally, in order to capture the essence of conversations. You know, if you in a nonfiction book, if you want to have real characters, what happened, it's crucial to keep a journal. You cannot keep the little day-to-day things that happen in your mind, especially not over a period of an entire year, unless you're one of those geniuses with a fantastic memory, which is not my case. So a journal is really important.
Well, I hope some of our listeners are coming up with ideas of things that they might be interested in doing and realizing that there could be a book in that. Because I read your book. It's absolutely fantastic. Damien, can we get a shot of the cover? If you get a second, can we get the cover up? Freeways to Flip-Flops?
It's up.
We got it.
It's up? Okay. I love the cover. Who did the cover for you? How'd you make the cover?
I went with a company. I decided that I wasn't going to try myself. Main reason being that if you, I don't know enough about book covers, and there are certain things that are important in a book cover if you want to get people's attention. And I had been listening to several different there's a man called Joel Freelander who has a wonderful indie publisher's website, and he gives a lot of advice about book covers and things, and I ended up picking a company called 1106 Design. I'm very, very happy with the book cover, and I would highly recommend them to anybody who wishes to have a book cover. They are based in Arizona. 1106 Design is their name.
Okay. And how did you go about deciding to release the book yourself? Did you approach agents or publishers first?
Yes. You know, writing a book takes many years, and I was very naive at the beginning. I thought I could do it very quickly, not realizing how much goes into a book, especially if you are a first-time author and you need editors, you need help in order to make it, you know, commercial. And that was my goal, was to make it commercial. So I went to some writers' conferences, and I actually went to one in San Diego, 2011. It's held in January, where you meet agents and editors, and it's like the speed dating thing. You have to pitch your book. You sit in front of someone, and they tell you either they want your first 80 pages or they're not interested. And actually, I did get 2 or 3 agents asking for it. And both of them told me it was a very commercial book, but unfortunately, I think my emphasis at the time was I started the book in the wrong place. So I spent another year rewriting it, starting in the action in Belize, starting in Orange County. And that actually changed the whole, I mean, I think that's what made the book what it is, and also hiring a wonderful editor, and I will say her name because she is phenomenal, Eve Gumpel, Gumpel. And at Gutsy Indie Publishers, you will find her as one of the members of that group. So her name is Eve Gumpel.
Well, I can vouch for it in terms of it's beautifully written and it's beautifully edited. I just finished reading it myself. I love the book. Tell us really quickly, what's the best thing about living in Belize?
I think the best thing is the way that you slow down, get away from a hectic life, and realize what's important in life, which is family. I think a lot of times we tend to take our family for granted because we're so busy. We are scheduling our children in 10 million different things. But when you are away from that kind of environment, you really get to know your kids and your spouse. You have time to sit and talk, whether you want to or not. So I think that was the best thing, and the nature, the beauty of the island, you know, things, shooting stars, looking at beautiful skies, just spending time looking and admiring nature, because we had no television. So your priorities change.
And quickly, what was the worst thing about living in Belize?
I think for me and for my husband, it was we took the wrong approach with starting a business. Most people who go to any country outside the, well, I'd say people who want to live an expat life tend to project the way they do business in their home country as being the way that they should set up a business in another country. And especially in that part of the world, you cannot go in thinking, oh, I'm just going to do what we do in the US. Everything is different. And so I think we were a little hasty in trying to set up a business rather than listening to other people who said, take your time, get to know the way of life here. Don't rush things. I mean, that's the Caribbean life, is don't rush. And we still had that crazy idea that we had to hurry up and get something going.
Well, that's a good segue for the next thing that I want to talk about. Don't rush things. One of the reasons why I'm so impressed with your approach to being an indie author is that you're doing it differently. So many indie authors do it the way that I did it, and that's you write a book, you attempt to get publishers and agents. When that doesn't work, you just go ahead and publish it on Amazon. You make Kindle ebooks. Yeah, maybe you make paperbacks with either CreateSpace or Lightning Source. You put it up on Smashwords, and then once it's there, then you start marketing it. But you're doing just the opposite. You're doing all kinds of wonderful things to market your book before it's even published. It is going to be available this summer in August as an ebook, probably by the middle of August, and as a paperback and hardcover later in August. Right. Tell us about one of the first things that you started doing to market your book after it was written.
Are you saying after it was written or before it was written?
Before it was finished.
I listened to two people who influenced me. One was a blogger, and I mention her because I fell in love with this story of hers. She started blogging and ended up getting a book deal through her blog, and naively I thought, well, I'm going to start the same thing, and when my blog grows, which I thought it would happen in a couple of months, I will get an agent interested in me, and of course that's not the way things work. But the blogging has been an amazing way to connect with people from around the world, and if you think about it, it's been 4 years now, probably, since I started it, and I have made some wonderful connections, and these are people who are willing to help me with my virtual blog tour when I start that on the 31st of August. So that is one way that I highly recommend people start a blog about 2 or 3 years before your book comes out. And Seth Godin, who's a marketing guru, he specifically said that. He said you need to start a blog 3 years before your book comes out. It's one of the best ways, and that leads you to other social media, Twitter, Facebook, and everything.
Now, so I recommend blogging on your subject matter. Is that what your blog is about, Gutsy Living, or your experiences?
Okay, that's a good question, because like most people, I did not have a focus when I started blogging.
Okay.
One of the things that I wish I had had, and it takes time. I mean, you don't really know for sure what it is you are trying to convey when you start out. Unless you're very smart, and then you already know that this is your message, this is your theme. But for me, it took several it took a year or two before I came up with the Gutsy Living idea. It started as Gutsy Writer, and that enabled me to write about gutsy things. And then I thought, well, I'll go a step further and talk about Gutsy Living, where I can incorporate other people than myself. But I highly recommend people think about a good name for their blog, come up with a catchy, good name, and also think about what it is you're interested in telling people or conveying, what message. So those are my tips for people starting out.
I love what you've done with Gutsy Living, because Gutsy Living started from, if I understand correctly, from your own experience, but you're branching out to other people, and you've got something on your website called My Gutsy Story, a mini anthology. And this is an opportunity for other people to share experiences that they have had, that they've done something gutsy. Whether it was following their passion or getting out of their comfort zone, maybe getting past a failed relationship, a loss of life, all kinds of things that people have gone through. And people now are sending you their gutsy stories, and you have a contest for other people to pick which one is the best, and you can even end up selling anthologies eventually from other people's collaborations. Tell me more about that.
Yes. I have to admit that I was very fortunate. I love to network, and I bumped into a young lady named Marcy Taylor, who gave me the idea of doing this contest, and I started it last October. And I'll be honest with you, I started it because I was getting lazy about coming up with new posts twice a week. And she said, well, how about you ask other people to post their stories? And I thought, wow, that I'd kind of thought about it, but she reinforced it. And that was the best thing that happened, because people people like to read about other people. They want to know what they have done, and there's a limit to how much you personally can come up with yourself. I used to write articles based on gutsy people that I found online, but to have actual writers and bloggers participate makes it so much more real. You can connect with real people, and so I think that was a wonderful idea, and not only does it help people come to my website, but I help promote them so that people go to their website, and also I promote them on other blogs like my local patch.com. Every city, not every city, but quite a few cities in California, on the East Coast, and other states have their local patch. And they are looking for bloggers. So if you're a blogger and you want to promote something, go to your local patch.com. Just put in your city and then ask the editor if you can blog.
Excellent idea. You talked a little bit about a virtual blog tour.
Right.
Can you tell our listeners what that means to you and how you plan on using it?
Yes. So you were talking, we haven't really talked about the ARCs, the advanced reader copies.
And should we talk about that first? Or
yeah,
should
we could do that so that people know.
Okay, let's talk about that first, and we'll come back to the virtual blog tour. Okay. I just read Sonia's book. Okay, now it hasn't been published yet, or she hasn't published it. So how did I read this? This is called an ARC, an advanced reader's copy. And the reason that Sonia put these out is to get people to read it, hopefully some famous authors, even more famous than me, I know, hard to believe, who will give their own. An endorsement is like a brief review. Can you tell us more about how this works, Sonia?
Yes. When you held up the book, there's a little red thing on the top that says there. That's what makes it different from the book that will be for sale. It says advanced reading copy, not for sale. And I had 100 copies printed up specifically to send to authors who I admire and I would love to have them endorse my book, which is what they would put, which is the blurb that you put on the back cover of your book. And you also can put it on the first page inside the book where it says praise for, and then freeways to flip-flops. You have endorsements in there. So you need those in order to make your book more, you know, commercial and give it some credibility. And so I've been sending those out to several authors, I would say maybe 25, that I have read their books, and I admire them. I like what they write about. And then the extra copies are for my virtual blog tour and for reviews on Amazon, which I have been sending to people if they would like to read it, and if they like the book and they want to be a part of my virtual blog tour. I have emailed all these bloggers that I connected with throughout the years, and I am very happy to say that my list is growing, and I have maybe 30 people who have offered to host me on their blog, or to you know, and I've offered them different options. We can talk about that if you want. If not, we can move on.
So you get to post a blog post on their blogs, and these all have links to your website and to your book on Amazon and that kind of thing.
Yes, but what I want to do is I'd like to do it a little bit differently. So, you know, I've been doing YouTube videos, podcasts, different things, and I thought it might be interesting to try something which I'm sure is not new, but it's new to me. I would send the book to the person who agreed to host me, ask them what specific part of the book interests them, and perhaps ask me a list of questions, and instead of just writing and sending them back where they post the written answers, I will do a video of myself, like a Q&A, and send them the link to the YouTube video, which they can post on their blog. So, you know, it makes it a little more fun to do something different, either a podcast or a YouTube video or a written, whatever their audience might like.
That sounds really smart to me, because that's not just copying and pasting the same blog post to each
Right.
one of these 30 different people's blogs. You're making it more personal, plus you're creating videos, and that's another nice thing that I like about what you're doing is you make a lot of videos. If you go to YouTube and type in Sonia Marsh, you're going to find a lot of videos. Can you tell us more about how you use video to promote what you're doing?
Yes, I don't know, can you see my little flip camera here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. This is, I'm not very tech savvy here, but I use this little flip on a tripod, and it's so easy, and I started doing it for fun, and then it became an addiction. But the thing is, you have to find a spot in your house that is interesting, and I haven't yet found a good spot in my house where the videos turn out really good. So
really, your kitchen looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry to say I work in my kitchen. I'm a poor writer.
Well, my office isn't that luxurious either.
So no, I love doing these videos, and I think it's another way to connect with your audience. You know, they like to hear your voice. They like to maybe see you. They can critique you.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Do you ever get feedback from your videos?
Yes, I do, good and bad. You know, I posted, I don't even know why I'm telling you this, but I'm pretty open. I posted a video called Pregnant at 53, which was a nightmare that I had. And I wrote it down, and I videotaped myself reading this story, and I got a couple of things like, "What do you mean you're 53? You look like you're 63." What? So
right. Yeah,
So,
some of the clientele at YouTube is not the most polite with their
yeah.
words.
So anyway, it doesn't bother me, but anyway, so I just thought those are the rude ones, but the others are okay. Yeah. So I like doing them.
Well, for any of our listeners out there, they could always turn off the ability for people to leave comments if they start getting a lot of bad comments. I do YouTube videos all the time, and I even do videos. You got me started doing video reviews of books
Oh,
that I
yeah.
read, and I think that's a fantastic idea. So now my reviews on Amazon are getting viewed a lot more, I think, than people who just write a few sentences on what they thought about it. Do you think a video review for books on Amazon is helping people connect with you at all?
You know, I've done about 7, and I think that, and correct me because I'm not quite sure how that works, but I noticed that the video reviews, don't they get put above the other reviews or not?
No,
Do
I
they
think
put
it's
them in a
just,
separate?
I believe it's just in order that they come in,
That they come in, okay.
newest to oldest, or sometimes most helpful reviews
Okay.
come up higher. But if with a video review, you might likely get more votes. Was
Yeah.
this review helpful? And if people vote you high enough, then you will be the first review. The nice thing about Amazon is if people like what you have to say, they might click on your profile where you can leave your website information and things like that. So I think Amazon can be a fantastic place to network with people.
Yep, and Jason, I want to thank you for showing me how to do that, because that's a very good piece of advice about putting your website in the description part.
Oh,
So,
yes, on your YouTube videos, you want your website at the very beginning of your description because it becomes a clickable hyperlink that people can go to your website from. And hopefully it's generated some traffic for you. I'm sure it will over time.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, let's talk more about some of the other things you've done besides advanced reader copies and blogging, obviously, and your Facebook group, your My Gutsy Story mini anthologies. You're involved with a lot of public speaking. Isn't that true?
Yes, I'm hoping to grow it. So if anybody wants to hire me to speak, please come to my website. What I started doing was speaking about how to build your author platform. The first presentation I made was in 2010 at one of the writers groups that I attend, and actually the California Writers Club, the OC branch. I spoke there, and I think it's a wonderful way to help other authors is to speak about blogging, to speak about writing, to speak about your book. It shouldn't always just be about your book. If you can tie in other subjects, that's the way to go. So yeah, so I'm hoping to speak more. I spoke at a group called Women Rock about 2 weeks ago, and that's a group of business women. And I think another good idea is to go to all the meetups. If you Google meetups in your area, there are a lot of different groups, and they're looking for speakers. So in my area, there are travel groups I would like to go speak to, and women business owners, and different things like that, moms, parents, all kinds of groups. So I highly recommend that.
I love that. Sonia, we just had a question come in from the chat board. The question is, how do you know what you're going to write about? Do you write about things you know, or what if you want to learn new things and try and write about that?
Okay, so is this relating to a blog or a book? That's what I would like to know.
Guess it could be related to a book, probably more likely.
To me, I have to know what I'm writing about. I am not a fiction writer. Maybe I will be one day, but I far prefer anything related to travel or people. A story that I can, that's something that really happened. And as far as research, if it's a blog post, I used to do research and it was always linked to cultural differences between the US and Europe, different things that interested me, and I found that a lot of people were interested in the same things. For example, disciplining your children. There are different ways of doing it in France than here in the US, and actually there's a new book that just came out it was something about an American woman in Paris and how she raises her children based on the French system, and they're better behaved. I can't remember the exact title of the book. But anyway, so I do research on things in order to write articles, but that's just me.
Okay. And if any of our viewers are watching live on hangoutnetworks.com, they can ask Sonia other questions as well. So you also work with, you volunteer at libraries, and you told me a little bit about a distinguished author program. Can you tell our audience a little more about that?
Yes, for the past 3 years I've been volunteering at the Newport Beach Library in Newport Beach, which is a stunning library, and they have amazing authors, very well-known authors who have been there. And whenever I listen to someone that I find writes about, like a memoir or a travel memoir or a family memoir, I will go up and meet them afterwards. And I've done that with a couple of authors, and in fact both of them have kindly asked me to send them my advanced reader copy, so that's what I did. So it opens doors. Volunteering, no matter whether it's a library or a writing group, you get to network with other authors, and sometimes famous ones.
Your advanced reader copies just became available, less than 2 weeks ago. I've already read mine, and yeah. I know that some other authors have read theirs and given their endorsements. Your book's coming out, the paper versions are coming out at the end of August, ebook later on in August, middle of August. What happens if you get some great endorsements from wonderful authors that you want to add to your book after it's been published? What's your plan for that?
Well, Jason, to be honest, I think you probably know more about how to change the covers and stuff than I do, but I'm using Lightning Source and I'm using CreateSpace for 2 different reasons. And I have not tried yet to change a cover, but I've heard that it's not a huge deal, and so as endorsements come in, if I were lucky enough to get a really great endorsement from somebody super duper, I would definitely change the back cover. And that's what's great when you do your own indie publishing, is that you have the ability to do that, versus with a traditional publisher. I don't know how quick and how easy it is to do.
That is correct, and I was kind of setting you on the spot there. It is really easy to make your own changes if you're an indie author. Fortunately, the ebooks can be changed within a 24-hour period, and usually the paperbacks, especially through CreateSpace, can be changed within about 2 to 3 days. But you mentioned that you're using both Lightning Source and CreateSpace for paper versions of your book. You'll be uploading directly to Amazon KDP for Kindle. But tell us why you're using Lightning Source and CreateSpace for paper versions.
Well, thanks to a lot of, I call them experts, who have helped us on the Gutsy Indie Publishers. And I'm going to mention Linda Austin, because she is amazing and she has been so helpful. She has written out for all indie authors the differences between CreateSpace and Lightning Source. It's on her website. I don't remember the title, her website, but Linda Austin is her name.
I can get it.
She recommended, like so many others, that Lightning Source is good for getting on the Ingram distribution in the system with libraries and bookstores. Reason being that with Lightning Source, you can pick your own discount that you offer to these channels. As I understand it, CreateSpace, you are not able to select the discount that you want to offer, so it is not as easy, if I understand correctly, to get the distribution channels going. Now, I could be wrong, things might have changed, but this is what led me personally to want to do both. Plus, I set up my own publishing company. So I have my own ISBNs, I have my own company, and so that enables me to work with Lightning Source. If you don't have your own, I'm a publisher. If you're not a publisher, you cannot use Lightning Source. They work with publishers, not just authors.
Okay, and am I sharing Linda Austin's Amazon page? This is her Amazon page.
Oh, yes.
And is this her website, Moonbridge
Yes,
Books?
That's
okay,
it.
Moonbridge
Books.
Moonbridge
Correct.
Books for much more information about Linda Austin. It sounds like a very helpful person. You also have an interesting thing that you've done with a major car manufacturer. What can you tell us about that, and how can a major car manufacturer help you promote what you're doing?
Well, I will tell you that if you go to the My Gutsy contest page, there are a list of sponsors, and I was very fortunate to write to be asked to write a blog post about, let me think, what was the title? It was about college-bound kids, and I had written an article about what to do when your kids go to college. And General Motors was looking for bloggers who would help with that topic, since they wanted to promote their cars, and it was, you know, the end of the year and kids going back to college. And so since that time, I have been in touch with them, and they have still sponsored the My Gutsy story with a free loaner car if the winner of the month decides that that is the prize they would like. So that's how I got involved with them, by basically writing a blog post, and I'm very fortunate that they've still agreed to be on the sponsor list for the My Gutsy story contest.
And this is the page on your website. It's soniamarsh.com, and then it's the My Gutsy Story Contest page within her website. I think that's really neat. Who knows? Maybe there's there's some sponsors that you have for some of the winning stories. There's lots of wonderful gifts that people are giving away to folks who win the. Is it a monthly contest?
Yeah. Every month we get to vote for the favorite story of the month, but we post one story every Monday. So some months there are 4 writers, other months there are 5 writers. So you get the public gets to vote for the story, and then the person who wins the most votes gets to pick one of their favorite prizes. And you know, there are some good ones there. If you need editorial help, if you want a subscription to Writer's Digest, if you want Jason's help.
Yes, that's right.
So,
that's right.
Yep.
Hey, you do a lot of live stuff with people. The Women Rock, the meetups for adventure travel women's groups, the PR over coffee. How do you contact these people and let them know about you and how you might be able to fit in with what they're doing?
Well, you know, I think a lot of things in life are word of mouth. So if somebody knows about you, which is why getting out there on social media is so important, they recommend you. So my editor, Eve Gumpel, recommended me to the Women Rock group because they were looking for a tropical theme and a writer who fit the theme, and they hadn't found anyone, so I was very fortunate that they contacted me. And things happen like that. And you know what? In life, you just have to go out there and just, I highly recommend that you just okay, this is going to sound funny. Be gutsy and just go out there and do it. Contact the groups. Like these authors that I contacted, a lot of them I thought would never even bother to respond. And I'm just so grateful that I even tried. Whether I get an endorsement or not is a different story, but at least they've responded. So that's wonderful.
Okay. What other ideas do you have, briefly, can you share with us?
That's a good ending there.
We're almost out of time, so let's
okay, I'll just quickly tell you, do a book launch, but don't call it an event. And what you want to do is you want to try and find sponsors for your event. So for my book launch on the 30th of August, what I've been doing is walking around to the local restaurants and asking them if they would like to sponsor the book launch. And so far I've been fortunate. I've only, the first person I asked was a local restaurant with a Caribbean theme, and they agreed to provide rum punch. So I'm going to do raffles. I'm going to make it a fun event rather than just me sitting there signing books. And a lot of people don't think about entertaining other people and making it fun for other people, and that's something that I think you need to think about as well. So promote yourself, go out there, talk to people, be your own marketing guru.
Well, you're doing an excellent example for all of us. I love the book. It's again, it's Freeways to Flip-Flops. Actually, Damien's got a better picture of it than I do. It's a family's year of gutsy living on a tropical island. Ebook coming out in the middle of August. Paper versions coming out by the end of August.
Yes, thank you.
And if you want to find out about Sonia Marsh, visit her at soniamarsh.com or gutsyliving.com. They both go to the same address.
And if
Sonia,
anybody,
what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, if you have, if you want to contact me with questions, that something that I might have done that you're interested in, please write to me at Sonia@SoniaMarsh, MARSH.com. I'll be happy to help you. And thank you very much, Jason.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. Also, thanks to our sponsor, HangoutNetworks.com. Please visit HangoutNetworks.com for a wealth of wonderful shows. You can find all the other indie author shows there, as well as a lot of other great shows that you're seeing right now. So I guess that's it for tonight. Again, Sonia, thanks so much for your time, and I know your book's going to be a big hit, and I'm looking forward to watching this unfold in the future.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you, HangoutNetworks.com. This was fun. Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
You just watched another episode of Indie Authors. Check out more at hangoutnetworks.com.
Well,